Welcome to the Current Backloggers. I'm your host, KCP, along with my good friend and co-host, Aaron C. We're here for another episode of our video game, ranking every video game movie.
Yeah, and we are here with a Ninja-tastic
We're here.
Review, or ranking, whatever you want to say. A fun time.
Yeah, for Ninja Ryu, the Dragon Sword Story, which is probably the nerdiest name. Well, I don't know. I imagine we're probably going to get more nerdy names than that, sadly.
Yeah, since we are doing video game movies.
Yeah. But
this was a doozy.
It was. Ninja Ryu, the Dragon Sword Story is a pretty nerdy one. Came out in November 22nd, 1991, day before my birthday, a year after my birthday, if that makes sense. And directed by Moru Kambe? Yeah, Moru Kambe. And written by Tomu Humu. Nope. Yep, that's right. Tomu Hu My Noob. We're rolling with it.
Yeah.
And it's based off a side-scrolling beat 'em up arcade game, Ninja Gaiden. Of course, you would know that by the name Ninja Ryu. We discussed while watching this that I've known in this game. I never knew that his name was Ryu.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing I knew of this game. Released in arcades in North America in 1998 of October, and in Japan of February 1989. And then later released as a hack and slash platformer on NES. That's when, I'll be honest, that's when I knew of this game. And it released in Japan in December 9th of 1988. And North America on March 13th, 1989. And then when I really knew of this game was when it became like a hack and slash action adventure game later in the Xbox and into Xbox 360. And that's when I knew of it on NES, but I never played it. And then the first time I played it was on Xbox, and it looked so cool. I went and bought it, and I absolutely hated it. Not because it was a bad game, but I was getting so frustrated, which I don't do with games very often, but I was younger, and it was such a challenging game, and I don't think I was... Well, it's weird. I was going to say I'm not used to that, but I played Mario and Mega Man and games that were just as hard, if not harder.
Yeah.
But there was something about it that just frustrated me that I just gave it up, and one of my friends bought it like a week after I bought this game, which didn't happen very often, but I sold it to him. He was real excited, so we both won.
That is a win.
Yeah. It's something I'd be curious going back. Definitely not the NES ones. I know they hold up, people say, but I know there's no way those would be good for me.
Yeah.
Maybe like the later 360 ones I'd be curious to see.
Yeah, that's what... So this game, never heard of at all. And went in blind. Looked at some stuff about it, and I thought it looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a random pickup one of these days. When I got nothing to play, just pop in Ninja Gaiden and see if it's good.
Yeah.
But it looked interesting. The Xbox 360 versions. Version. I don't know if I want to play the old one.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool nostalgia thing, or if you're into NES games, I'm sure it would be fun, because like I said, I heard it holds up. But if you're trying to find something more modern and what the series has turned into, yeah, I think definitely the 360 or PS3, whatever you play, would be the better representation of it.
Yeah, and a fun fact about this game, it was one of the first games to use cutscenes. And for a side-scroller, that's pretty crazy, because there just were not cutscenes at that point.
Yeah, I was telling you, that's crazy. I didn't know that until you said it. That's crazy for cartridge games in general, just because the memory is like almost non-existent on those things.
Yeah, you just don't... It just doesn't happen. So that's really cool. Cutscenes are important in today's games. Like, we don't have cutscenes. I mean, I think even in later 90s is when cutscenes became really popular. So for a game to use that first, that's revolutionary.
Yeah.
For the gaming community. And I mean, cutscenes can make a game a million times better. Like, maybe the gameplay is not great, but you got this amazing story with great cutscenes. It can change the whole experience.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we get into this?
Just something else I was reading. The main character, Ryu.
Yep.
Go with Ryu. And also, like, Street Fighter fans, this is not the same guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
You asked me another pronunciation people get real triggered is Ryu. I've always said Ryu. And something else I mentioned to you that I'll save for the podcast is that a lot of people call it Ninja Gaiden, and I absolutely hate that, but the same thing, people get triggered on both sides, but I hate Ryu Ryu I don't like, I just don't naturally say, but Ninja Gaiden just drives me nuts. It sounds so stuck up to me.
yeah, Ninja Gaiden. I think it's always been, I'm trying to think of what I said I think I said Ryu.
Like
I think in Smash Bros. They say Ryu. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, that one doesn't actually, I spoke too soon. That one doesn't bother me. I'm just used to saying Ryu, but yeah, Ninja Gaiden definitely bothers me.
It's Ninja Gaiden. I mean, if you want to say Gaiden, sure, but you're not on the podcast, so we're going to say Gaiden. And yeah, so the fun fact, going back to that, apparently they changed this main character's costume design for the movie. The characters also act completely different, and the plot is disconnected from the series' overall narrative. The only thing that this movie got right was the level of blood and gore compared to the game, apparently.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a good sign if you're looking for a good video game adaptation if the character's acting completely different.
Yeah.
Just some background on that. And we can get into this wild, I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah,
but also, before we get into it, we had to watch this in Japanese with English subtitles, and it was an adventure, to say the least.
Yeah. Before we get to that, I know I butchered the director and writer's name. I had it in my head, and then it just was gone. And you started laughing. It became a bit, but now it sounds like I'm just doing it as a joke. But that'll get better as we go on. I was going to say I promise. I hope to promise. That's the best I can give you. But yeah, it was an adventure to get this thing we found on YouTube. And like you said, a subtitle version, which I think I've said on here before. I know I've said to people in person. I can't stand dubbing or subtitles, which I know are two options with anime, and that's probably part of why I don't like anime amongst many other reasons, which we'll get into in here.
And I actually like anime.
Yeah.
Just like I actually enjoy anime. I've watched a few recently. This is a recent thing, but
yeah,
I actually enjoy it. I think sometimes they make stories really good. This was not.
Yeah, I don't. For me, subtitles are distracting because I either just end up reading the dialogue and missing the action, or vice versa, which at that point, there's not really point in watching either.
Yeah.
And then dubbing, even the ones people are like, it's actually a really good dub. It's so distracting me that if even it's a half second off and the mouse are still moving, it pulls me out of it so much that I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Dubbing would have been better, but when we searched dubbing after we realized it was subtitled, then it gave us still the subtitle version with somebody doing a Russian talkover of it.
Oh, it was bad.
So then we just got and they didn't cut out the other audio, so you just had two audios attacking each other, and I was like, okay, we just need to watch it subtitled, and that's what we did.
Yeah, so we got Japanese, and obviously we don't speak Japanese. I know a little bit, just a fun fact, not a lot. I can say hi, and I think I can say eat shit and die.
Oh, okay.
That's about it.
I was going to say, I feel like most people know hi, but yeah, I didn't obviously know the other part, which is a random one to know.
Yeah, I actually know a lot of the bad words in Japanese. I have a friend that learns it regularly, and she's actually really good at it, so she's taught me a few words.
I got you.
Obviously the bad words. So.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
All
and
right.
none of the bad words were in this movie. Because I didn't, and I wouldn't have picked them up anyway because they were speaking so fast that, this wasn't happening.
So, we said let's get into this multiple times, and it works out well because this movie starts out, I don't know if you want to call it a movie anime. I mean, I know animes came in movies, but it's kind of like a hybrid. It was 45 minutes is a weird thing. But it's perfect that we had so many fake intros because that's exactly what this movie did. It had 5 intros to get to the point where the movie started, I think.
Yeah.
And then starts in New York City, which I made fun of, but then I had to check myself because I guess the games were set in New York City. I always thought it was like a typical like generic Asian setting,
Yeah.
and I tried to look at the later games, like the ones that are more current now, and it does look like it's like that. So I think the older ones are set in New York City, which is still weird to me that a ninja in a Japanese culture would be set in New York City.
Yeah. It's a little strange.
I don't know. At that time, I feel like a lot of Japanese creators were, I'm sure it's still now, but they were infatuated with American culture, and New York City's like the top tier of that, obviously.
Yeah.
So I feel like they probably thought it was cool to have somebody from their culture in New York City. Yet one of our first shots, we get to see the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Which was wild to see in an animated form.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've seen it in multiple movies because obviously movies as like a lot of movies are set in New York City, and then that's like
Right.
a big landmark you can point at. But as we were seeing an animated movie,
Just shows how, awesome that building was.
yeah, oh yeah, fucking building's so cool.
Yeah.
I go on and on about buildings. People make fun of me, so I won't here. Is there some things you want
One
to say?
day we'll have a building-only podcast. We'll talk about the best buildings on the planet.
Oh, I thought you meant like a building for our podcast, like it's our building.
Oh,
Maybe
that'd be
both.
That'd be pretty cool. Start in the basement, get our own studio.
And we could be super fake. I think the coolest building in the world is right here. Weird enough. This is definitely the coolest building.
Yeah.
Not biased.
At all.
What are some things you want to say here?
About the movie?
Yeah, I got some more. I just talked the whole time.
So this movie, to start off, I honestly didn't know how to do notes for this movie because it's just all over the place. And this isn't like our Halo breakdowns.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going scene by scene and getting intense. And so I kind of just put some points, like plot points and what stood out to me. And so the intro, the multiple intros, it started with that, like, demon god thing, which I still don't really know what that is. I don't know if you know.
I have no clue what happened in this.
Yeah, so basically there's just this demon god guy and screaming pretty much. And then we see the shot of New York City, and then we get our main character, Ryu, whatever you want to say, running in the city, and he just kind of draws his sword, and we get our first action scene. The action scenes I didn't mind. Lots of blood, lots of head chopping. And he chops two guys' heads off. That's basically the intro. So a lot of running, and then we get some cuts to like Irene, his love interest, which was weird also.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got for the beginning. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's a good summary of absolute nonsense.
Yeah, and so we're introduced to the main character, then we get introduced to his love interest, and then we see, you mentioned this, the weird 3D model of the city that wasn't animated, but also
Not real
at the same time.
I've never seen anything like it.
That was really weird.
Yeah, up to that point, it's like the most stereotypical old anime-looking thing. It looked like anything else. So
yeah,
real.
It actually reminded me of Dragon Ball a little bit. It wasn't as like good because I think Dragon Ball has just a high budget because it's one of the most popular animes.
Yeah.
But Dragon Ball was made in 1984. This was in the 90s, so it's kind of crazy just comparing them as animes. But that's what I had for the beginning.
Okay. I'll get in some more notes here. I should say, like I said, I am not an anime fan. I give you my extent of animes here, and usually anime, the weebs as the kids call them, laugh at it and say they're not animes, even though they technically are, but for some reason now anime is like this different thing that's not anime, which is weird.
Oh, anime is so popular these days. Like, I don't know about you, but when I was in school, if you watched anime, you were the weird kid.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people, if you do special anime moves at recess, you might as well just switch schools.
I think that's still the case. I don't know if you should be doing those.
I think so also. But I think Naruto running is more popular these days.
Yeah. So my extent of animes I've liked, of course, old Pokemon. Cubics,
Classic.
if you've heard of Cubics, is fantastic. A CW or WB show, fantastic show. Halo Legends, a compilation of anime, which people make fun of because it's Halo, but I'm not gonna act like I know their name. But I know a lot of people said it was like top anime creators at the time, but since it has Halo, everybody mocks it.
Yeah.
Animatrix, which is fantastic if you haven't seen that.
Have not seen that.
Oh, it's good stuff. And I think I feel like I'm missing one, but that's pretty much the extent. And then aside from that, just so much anime is the generic screaming and the girl orgasms for no reason, and then the music kicks in. And I'm just like, I can't do it. And then if you add the subtitles or dubbing, I'm just like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But the point of saying that was to give some context of how I feel about animes, but also to say when we found this, we were making sure it was the right thing, so we are kind of like skipping through the video to make sure we had the right video. And I'll be honest, and you said it, you're like, that show was pretty cool, and I'm not a fan at all. And I was like, yeah, the action was kind of cool. I mean, Ninja Gaiden, ninja going around slicing people and sneaking up and killing people. I was like, that'd be hard to mess up, and somehow they messed that up.
Yeah, they do. Another note, the beginning did this a lot. I think it smoothed out towards the end. The music was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, the music, the way they did it was terrible, and the placement was awful. I think most of the music was actually really cool and sounded good.
It was just bad placing of where it should have been.
Yeah, it did not seem at the proper times, and the cut-ins were never subtle. They were always just, bam, it's there. It was never a subtle lead-in. They just always drop straight on you.
It was so bad. I pointed it out immediately while we were watching. I was like, oh, this is, taking me out of it a little bit.
I think most of it was good if you separate it from the product. Some of it was definitely bad. Like there was some really cheesy, like 80 porning sound music in there.
Yeah.
And some like was supposed to be like romantic music, I think. Some of it just was not good even if you separate it from the product. But I think most of it you could separate it from what was happening and realize that whoever mixed this did not have ears when they were mixing it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or at least eyes and ears together. But yeah, I find it weird that I feel like all you had to do to make this enjoyable was to have a ninja kill people. But then it was weird. They like tried to mix in like 10 different movies. It was like,
yeah, there's like the main character, Ryu, whatever you want to call him, with his sword, and he's cool. And then there's just this group that is like having this other subplot, but they also know him, but they're investigating not at the same time, which we'll get into the investigating part. And they use guns.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a full-on like war movie for them, or like bad Dead Space mixed with Resident Evil or something.
Yeah, it was all over the place. There was obviously a little Ninja Gaiden, which you think that would be a big part of it, but a little Ninja Gaiden. I know some of these were after it, so it's not like they're copying them, just using examples.
Yeah. Like
John Wick, a generic sci-fi movie, really bad romance movie. It's just all mixed into this thing that should have been very straightforward of a ninja killing people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, we could easily write something about this ninja in New York City kicking butt. I mean, it's basically Ninja Turtles, just without the turtles.
Yeah.
That you could do, and it'd be probably pretty awesome.
Yeah. There was multiple scenes where they used a far-out camera, I guess you would say. It's obviously not a camera, but far-out view, I guess I'll say. People moaning and doing hand gestures like they're jacking off.
Yeah.
But then they weren't. But I feel like that had to be intentional because there's no reason you would do that. That's a note I have in here.
Yeah, no, one of the beginning scenes, actually, just this girl behind the counter. It's actually Irene, and she's just, like, shaking, and you can't really see her hands, so it just looks like jacking off, and then I know you were like, oh, it's a girl. But, like, still, like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a little funky.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
You have another note?
So my next note is basically there's TV, and this is while I think Irene is actually watching it. And basically this guy has found a cure for cancer. And then they show this guy And holy crap, is there something wrong with him? I don't really know how to describe him, but he has like a very long body, a weird long face, and his nose is probably as big as his face. And he's really weird looking.
Yeah, he looked like the most unpersonal being I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Here's a weird thing.
Yeah, he's something else. But he found the cure for cancer, apparently, with no side effects. Until we find out there's definitely some side effects. So then the group of, I don't know if we want to call them Ghostbusters.
They definitely did. We got to call the Ghostbusters, they said in here for some odd reasons.
Yeah. It was really interesting. But we can call it, like, knockoff Ghostbusters, or we can give them a group name. Venture Squad. Throwback to Halo. We miss it.
Yeah.
So they go in to investigate this guy's kind of lab. And they think there's like some monsters in there. They don't think you can just have a cure for cancer without side effects. And they think the cure is doing something to people. And they find a body in the lab. And I think that's it for that scene. And then they go like interview this guy who has a really ugly cat just chilling in the window.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed that immediately. I was like, is that a cat? Like, I was like, what the heck is that? It was just like this blob of gray just sitting on the window. And they were talking to a guy that I didn't get names. Did you get names?
No, Ryu and Irene's all got.
Yeah, that's all I got. So I just said evil professor guy that cured cancer because that's who they're asking about. Because they're interviewing this other guy or asking about him. And then we see the ugly cat, and then that's pretty much the scene. The cat kind of walks out of the room, and then we get cut to the restaurant where Irene's at.
Well, before it cuts there, it gets to do its awful fucking cat scream.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to impersonate it, but I think my neighbors probably shoot through the wall if they heard that noise.
Yeah, I might leave.
So my next thing here, this is something I asked you if I should talk in person or on the podcast, because this could be potentially real embarrassing and or ignorant, but I'm willing to lay it out there and see. And I think my intro to the show will be a good lead into this. So how come in other languages, in Japanese, or Japanese in this example, but languages in general, do they just mix in English words? Do you know that? Am I an idiot? Like I thought maybe it was I know some words are English like specific, and like when they said Jeff, I was like, maybe that's an English name, so there's not a translation for that.
Yeah.
But then they said things like biotechnology. Like they'd be like, this is going to be offensive, but I got to do it. Biotechnology. And I was like, why is biotechnology English there? What?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you on
okay.
that one.
I thought you might laugh at me and be like, obviously this is the reason, idiot.
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
I've always wondered that. I'm pretty sure you can probably figure it out on Google search those things. But I think those kind of things are more interesting to just talk about and communicate with people.
I'm not really sure. I haven't learned a lot of languages, personally.
I don't know any other. So
like
I'm ignorant to it.
I know words for some. That's it. Because I just can't. It's so hard to learn because it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
Like Japanese has like 3 different alphabets.
Yeah.
And everything is pronounced differently in each one, and there's all these crazy rules, and I tried. No. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm like, I don't really have the time to just sit here. Like, it's cool if you're like passionate about it and you want to learn other languages, but nope, it does not.
I wish I could. I just know.
It doesn't resonate in my brain. But if someone who is watching this wants to let us know why it's like that, that would be great.
Yeah, please do.
Because obviously we don't know why, so it'd be cool to know.
I do know another name, though, because I'm glad I put that in here, Jeff. This was so confusing to me. It was, like I said, after I saw the game was set there, it made a little more sense. But it's like the most fucking American thing, but yet everything's Japanese. All the companies are American. It's set in New York. Every character, for the most part, is white and as American as can be, but then everybody speaks Japanese. Like, and they fucking have names like Jeff and Robert, which is another one. They say Roberto, which I know other pronunciations say it. Well, that's another thing I don't know. Like, if that one changes, and you think Jeff would change to something else.
Yeah,
but
like Jif or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, like
he's just eating like peanut butter.
Yeah.
But no, I get that's. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all confusing me. I don't get it.
Yeah, Jeff was my least favorite character in this. Like, if I have to nominate worst character, Jeff's right there.
Mhm.
He's the worst to me.
Yeah, he was terrible, but great.
Yeah, I mean, like, he had some funny lines.
You have one waiting there? Is that
Yeah,
late in there?
I do, but it's actually a little bit later.
Okay. Well, I don't have much more, so feel free to keep going if you want.
Yeah. So let's see. So the cat in the window. We get another kind of cool fight scene in the restaurant. I thought it was cool, but the
No,
cat.
that's not why I'm smiling.
The cat before the fight scene. Ryu and Irene are just kind of talking, and the cat just kind of walks in the door. And I was like, what the hell is the cat doing there? And then he like tries to like pet the cat, I think. I'm not sure if he tried to pet it or got close to it. Like growls at him, and then all the bad guys just run in.
Yeah, it must be like some spy animal or something.
Yeah. And the cat's ugly.
It is.
Like 0 out of 10 for that cat.
Yeah.
It's bad.
When you're right, you're right.
Yeah. And then after the fight scene, the cops just kind of randomly pull up and just walk in, and they're dead.
That's what I was smiling at. Yeah, the action was cool, which, like I said, is I think the one actual true positive of this. I think the action was cool, just not nearly enough of it for what this should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cops come in. They're like somebody that cosplay cops but don't know how to be cops. They're like, we're coming in, and then they bust down the door. And they immediately just start aiming at dead bodies. The first one aims a fucking shotgun to lift up a mask of somebody.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? And then the other one aims his pistol at a head that's just blown open, hardly there, and just aiming at him. Like, oh, is he there? And they just both keep moving around the room, aiming at dead bodies and not questioning anything and not talking to people that are alive. I'm like,
they're just...
what is going on here?
But also, who called them?
Mm-hmm.
They just showed up. Like, they knew what was happening, and they're like, oh, we'll just wait till he's finished. And then they just drive in, and I'm just like, okay. Who called him?
Yeah.
Did the cat call him? Is the cat, like, a double agent working for the bad guys and the cops? Like, I just didn't know. I didn't see where there was time for anyone to call the cops. Unless a bystander's watching, but cops don't respond that fast.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking like a 30-second window. The cops are there. That's all. These cops were bad. It was very cringe.
I know there's a couple more. That's actually all I had, because I had a couple more things, but I know you were putting them, so I'll talk about it when you get to them. So feel free to talk away.
The next thing I have, I'm almost done.
Yeah. There's not, it was 45 minutes. So.
Yeah, it was 45 minutes. Some of it was really confusing to put into notes.
Yes.
Which I recommend watching, and you'll really understand what we're talking about. But so the next scene, there's just like this chase scene in the streets of New York. That's all I got for that. And then somehow they know where the bad guy is. We don't get any details about this. Well, actually, hold on. Let me back up a little bit, because I remember the scene. I didn't note it. But there's a scene between Ryu and Irene, and basically Ryu's like, oh, we can't be together anymore. It's too dangerous. And then somehow Irene gets captured, which I have no idea how. I don't know if you know how.
No.
But the bad guy... the bad guy captures her, and then both groups, we got Ghostbusters crew and we got Ryu, go into the rescue. And this one scene is actually probably my favorite in the movie, which isn't saying a lot because there wasn't a lot of great scenes.
Yeah.
But remember that walking fish guy that was like in front of the building?
Mm-hmm.
Ryu just kind of goes ham and starts killing people, like a lot. Like, I think he probably killed over 100 people to get in this building. And I thought that was a cool scene. I mean, there was the walking fish dudes, there were wolfmen, there were ninjas, there were all types of like just random creatures running around this place, and he just started killing them all.
Yep.
And that's what I got.
Is that all you had?
Oh, I have a little bit more, but
Okay, so I was gonna say there was something in particular that I know we were gonna talk about.
yeah,
So-
Ghostbusters crew. So they're also in this building, and they're firing away. And Jeff and what's the other guy's name? Robert?
I thought that was Ryu at that time, was it not?
No, it was
Was it
Robert.
Roberto?
Yeah, I think him and Robert are like shooting. There's like this yellow creature that comes up. I don't know what it was. Do you know what it was? Just a yellow like
Yeah.
monster. Just imagine that. Just a yellow monster. Any monster you want. It can be something cool. It doesn't have to be what was in the movie. But so they're shooting this yellow monster, and Jeff is like, this is the best line of the whole movie. Best quote. We like fighting. We like alcohol. We like women. And some of us even like men.
Yeah, and while they're doing it, it's like a cheesy 80s buddy cop movie where they're just fucking killing people and like bats back and like and then he just drops this fucking line out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was so random. Like they're just in the middle of fighting, and then it was so great. It was a great line. I was laughing so much from it. It was cringy, but also one of the best moments in the entire movie. And then so they get to the bad guy, and they're about to fight him. And this is so out of pocket. I don't know why this happened or where this dude came from, but Professor Bucky Wise.
Oh, they showed him earlier in the episode.
Oh, he was. I didn't know. I didn't
it's,
know
I
he
mean,
was in
the
there.
only reason I know, not because I followed or because it was obvious, but I was like, oh, Professor Bucky Wise. I said earlier in the episode because it sounds so not intimidating. And my dog's name's Buckeye, so I always catch things like that.
Yeah. You see, I didn't even. So to me, Bucky Wise was random. I didn't know who this guy was. I didn't catch the reference to him or even see him. He is a weird looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like long blonde hair and like glasses and
laughs like that.
yeah, exactly. That's like a perfect imitation of his laugh. But he just comes down out of nowhere. Also, the bad guy's daughter just happens to be captured there too, which we didn't really cover. But so the bad guy's daughter is also captured, and then Bucky Wise comes down and just kills the other evil dude. And it was so, I was just like, what is happening right now? I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on. And then they just have a giant fight scene.
Yeah. And anybody who watches South Park is very South Parky, where it started out, well, it didn't start out normal. This was weird all the way through. South Park starts out normal and then gets wild. But this started out kind of weird and then just got more and more weird to where you didn't know what the fuck was going on. Things kept morphing and changing into different things. I was like, what in the anime is going on right now? I feel like a 90-year-old man when I watch this shit.
Yeah. I will vouch for anime. This is the worst of it. This is really bad. I mean, that's pretty much all. So basically the ending, there's a big fight scene. Ryu, boom, 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 kills. Oh, also, I think a blonde guy, or Bucky Wise turns into that big monster.
Yeah, that's a South Park thing I was talking about where it keeps going and going.
Yeah, he just turns into a big monster. Ryu gets stabbed, but he doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
Then they kill the guy, and they win. That's pretty much that's it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I had was Jeff and there's this blonde lady. They decide that they're gonna get married at the end of the movie.
Yep.
That's pretty much how that's what I got.
All right. Well, let's get to our rankings.
Yeah.
So we got Ninja Gaiden versus Mario. It's not versus really because it sounds like we're gonna do like heads to heads on all these.
Yeah.
But it's just, right now we have two. But as it goes forward, it'll be every movie against every movie and try and figure out where you want to place your new one.
Yeah. So right now though, it is Ninja Gaiden versus Mario.
Yeah. Ninja Ryu the Dragon Sword Story, which I don't know why you wouldn't call it Ninja Gaiden, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so nerdy. Jeez,
Ninja
like,
Gaiden anime if you want.
Just like nerdy up, like just out the ass. It's
Yeah.
so nerdy. Anyway, let's see. So yeah, you want to go first?
Yes, I can do that. One thing I'll add before I get into my thoughts on this is we talked in the first episode about how we will do audio commentaries for some of them, like Riff Tracks does. And when we do it, if we do audio commentaries, we're not going to do it for every movie, but we'll do it as we watch the movie, record it. You can listen to our audio, and then immediately after we'll record our podcast. So it'll be a true reaction, because that's another thing that I think will make it fun. It won't be like a planned thing.
Yeah.
But this might be an exception. There could be some in the future where we might have to do an audio recording later on, and hopefully maybe it'll line up with, if somebody hasn't watched this yet, they can watch it with it if they want, or if you want to,
of course.
If you want to watch it without the audio commentary because we don't have it yet, and then go back and listen to it with audio commentary if we end up doing it, you could. Because as we watched it, we immediately regretted not doing it.
Oh yeah, there was so
And
we
it
had so
sucks
much
because
commentary.
I think our natural commentary would have been. I think we were actually funny. Like I said, I don't expect to be comedians, but I think, and it helped because I don't think we were funny naturally. I think they helped us. They gave us gold to work with.
Yeah, it was just our reactions to the crap on the screen, pretty much.
What's the issue with that kind of stuff is then you're kind of recreating it. It seems forced, but I think where this one will benefit us, it's so wild, and I don't know what happened. I think I'll be caught off guard again, and I remember what happened, but I couldn't tell you like where happened where, and I'm sure we'd catch more of their fucking weird perviness they sneak in there.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that if we end up doing it. And as far as our rankings, I'm going to put this ahead of Mario, which at first, I think on the surface, I think this might be worse than Mario. But the reason I'm going to put it ahead of Mario is because I feel like Mario was supposed to be a big movie. It had big-time actors in it. It was a full-length thing. This seemed like it was clearly just kind of like we can do a fun thing. And it didn't turn out well.
Yeah.
And it was not just turned out well, it was bad. We talked about it, as you heard in this episode. But I think Mario's a whole nother level. Like I said, I think Mario they're both obviously trying to be good, but Mario just had so much more behind it and failed so much. And the other reason is because Ninja Gaiden is a big name, but compared to Mario, it's fucking next to nothing.
Right.
So messing up Mario should be way harder than messing up Ninja Gaiden, and they did that tenfold. So I had to put Ninja Gaiden ahead of it.
We're right on the same.
Yeah.
So, see, I debated. I was like, is Mario better? And then I thought about it, and it's not. Ninja Gaiden, I thought even though it wasn't good and I had no idea what was happening, there was at least some parts where there was cool swords, like chopping things heads off, and that was kind of enjoyable to watch. I don't think there's a scene in Mario that I actually liked.
Yeah.
Except, the main menu music. And that's not even a scene. That's not in the movie. The main theme is not in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? It's a Mario movie. What are you doing? So, yeah, I'm going Ninja Gaiden, stomps Mario. Or chops off Mario's head.
Too bad I'm not good at animation because I'm fucking decapitated here.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Just imagine that. Just imagine the ninja chopping Mario's head off. But the Mario from the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so Ninja Gaiden is our new number 1. Mario's number 2.
Woo!
See, and that's why this will be fun, because Mario being number 2 or Ninja Gaiden being number 1 is so crazy.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Those are just going to keep going down and down. At least you would hope, because
I cannot imagine a world where Ninja Gaiden is my top video game movie.
Yeah. I don't want to live in that world.
I don't either.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I have for those two. So yeah, let us know what you thought if you watched Ninja Gaiden and Super Mario Bros. And let us know which ones you have. If you have Mario at number 1 or Ninja Gaiden at number 1.
Yeah, keep your rankings going. A few days from now, we will have Double Dragon. Will be our next ranking.
And that was a great movie.